Well, hello there, everybody. I hope everybody's feeling good today. We'll just start the stream like we did yesterday. We'll wait a few minutes for more people to come, and then I'll introduce what I'm going to be doing today. You better be. This is the fun part. Yesterday was all technical stuff. Today I'm just going to begin with a little refresher of technical stuff, and then we'll be going straight into animation. I hope everybody's feeling fine today. Weather here in Blighty is fair, cloudy with a chance of football. Sorry, I mean rain. And yeah, it's all right. It's a comfortable temperature. How's everything for everyone else? Of course, now I'm a veteran of Twitch, with literally hours under my belt of Twitch experience. So I'm going to try and keep up with everything. I've got some new audio filters and effects, and that should be fun. I'm going to try and keep better attention on like new follows and stuff like that. But the problem is I have to keep swapping between screens and tires your neck out after a while. No, I'm sorry to hear that the weather in Germany is not amazing. Maybe we've stolen your weather for a bit. Yeah, I'm not complaining about it anyway. So, you think we should start? Yeah, let's go for it. So, this is where we left off yesterday with this fantastic, and I'd like to say quite finished animation. It's, I think we can refine it a little bit though. Just maybe at least make it symmetrical. So let's get stuck in. First thing I'm going to do though is I am going to make a little adjustment. Yesterday, after rigging the model, I found that the tail here didn't quite really bend in as many places I want. This whole piece here is just one block. What I'm going to do is actually split it in two. So let's take a look at that. It's going to this piece. Oh no, it was this piece here. This will be easy enough. Just do that. Make sure I've got everything selected. Yeah, and looks good to me. it's even retained most of the texture, I think. I just have to see what it's doing though. Probably just move that somewhere else in my texture thing, so I can just draw the texture on there. Where's everything gone? Oh, it's over here, right? Okay. And then same for this one. Just continue. Move that down here somewhere. Oh no, I see. All right. So I've split the tail in two. I'll just do a very quick bit of texturing. Oh, come on. Let's just disable the animation for a second so I can actually see what I'm doing. Alright, there it is. I'm going to just fill it in here. Guessing what... I want to paint on that one, does it? Oh, there we go, got it. And then get some darker bits here and there, just for a bit of variety. You're not going to see a lot of this in detail, so I think that'll do. And then just do the same here. Oh dear, sorry for the interruption. It's the golden boy, for sure. But we're going to make him an angry flying boy in a minute. That's my hope, anyway. And yeah, that looks good. Big textures. We just need to make some adjustments to our rig, of course. We need this to be here, and duplicate that, move that down. Down a bit more, maybe a bit more. Oops. Alright, and I'm just going to call this tail 2A, and then I don't have to rename all the rest. And then this can be, that's tail 2, and that piece will be a new group called tail 2A. I'm going to assign that, and now, hopefully, and the animation back on, I have indeed got, oh yes, it does need to be parented to that though. Yeah, that was going to be that. So I now have two separate pieces. But one thing is, you'll notice, yeah, this is a common mistake to see. When I move this, it doesn't seem to move it all the way. It just moves it a little bit. And I'm glad you kind of like the music, Stephen. Considering that you made it, I think. So, anyway, what's happening here? As you can see, it's not moving it all the way. It's not moving it all the way. So, what I'm going to do is go back here, and although I have assigned this to tail 2A. Sorry, let's make everything a bit bigger so you can see it. Forgot to do this last time as well. Alright. So it's tail 2A, but it is also actually assigned to tail 2, if we see here. So what we need to do is remove that. And now, hopefully, it affects it fully. Yes, there we go. So we've got that. So our lovely tail is all set up, and there we go. I've just got a bit more to play around with here. Anyway, shall we do some animation? Let's do some animation. Here we've got just a simple 2-frame animation that I demonstrated before. So it goes between this frame and this frame, like this. So that's why it looks kind of a bit stiff. And also, nothing else is moving. The wings are moving, the whole torso is moving, but the legs, the head, the tail, it's all completely stock stiff. So let's change this, shall we? Generally how I animate is I go from the center outwards. So let's just do the wings first, and then we'll do the body, and then we'll do the head and the tail and the legs, because as the most extreme parts, although they will have some movement of their own, they will mostly be reacting to the movement of the wings and the body. As the thing flaps up and down, you can imagine that the head and the tail are sort of swaying behind it. To demonstrate this, we can look at my brown dragon, which has gone missing. Oh, I see, everything's hidden. Okay. Here, so this brown dragon here, as it's flying, its legs are sort of, they're feeling the, almost like the recoil, they're reacting to the movement, the head as well, and the tail especially, you can see here, that it's all based on the movement of the body. So back to our golden dragon, which is much bigger, it's more majestic, it's less lumbering, and it's got more of an upright posture. It's the royalty of dragons, as it were. So, and yes, flowy is a good word for it. Everything will flow based on the movement of the body. So, let's see. Just make some, hang on, where am I? Just make some adjustments to my starting frame here. I can just move that up. Now that I've made the adjustments to the tail, move all these pieces around to get like a relatively straight tail. I mean, I'll probably continue to make adjustments to this after, but yeah. Alright. So, and make sure always, when you've got a looping animation like this, that it copies the frame. You copy and paste your frames so that they always start and end on the same way. And another cool tip, we go into the graph editor here, is we get to see this mess of graphs. This may look overwhelming, but we only want to do one thing here, and that is actually extrapolation, and we want to make it cyclic, like this, make cyclic, and you can see now where it did just sort of, let's just focus on one thing so it's easier to see. We've got this curve here, and this affects the movement of the wings, I believe. And if we make it cyclic, you can see here that it's just repeating over and over, and that'll mean that it just loops endlessly, and it will loop seamlessly as well, and that's an important thing to do. So we'll do that with all of them, and then we'll go on back to yeah. Any questions so far? will it dance? It's maybe that'll be that bonus hidden animation that we were talking about. So yeah, now, he's got quite long legs here. I think let's focus on the start pose first. If we get a good solid starting pose, then I think everything can go from there. I'm just going to see what it looks like if the legs are the other way around, like they were on the brown dragon. They're just sort of tucked in, aerodynamic, graceful. I kind of like that, maybe because they're quite long. He's a tall dragon. Maybe I can cheat a bit and sort of move the legs. If we hide everything else, it'll be easier to see what I'm doing here. But I'm just, I can move all these parts separately, as I said. So you can lose a leg, or you can sort of tuck it in a bit. That's one way of doing it. Same with this foot here. So perhaps, I don't know. What do you think? I'll leave this up to the audience. Do you prefer a sort of, tucked leg, or a folded leg? If it makes much difference. As for the back legs, I think we can do a lot more here. Something like that, perhaps. I don't know. You'll need some experimentation, I think, to get the right look. But let's just get this starting pose done, and then we've got something to work with. Yeah, you're right. The foot's kind of broken, isn't it? Let's go back to what it was before for now, I think. There we go. So let's work with this. Let's see where this takes us. I don't know if it looks like he's just jumped or something. Oh, maybe that's good. We'll see. Let's not focus on the legs for now. Let's focus on the body. Well, the wings actually. Let's do the wings first. So we've got our wings here, and right now they are just going 2 keyframes, and Blender is just interpolating between them. Highlight everything, and let's start again. So let's go to our middle frame. This is a fairly good wing up pose, and we need a wings down pose. Nice and simple. You can perfectly mirror the wings if you want, but I actually like to not do that. I find a little bit of asymmetry, not a lot, but a little bit, just adds a bit of life to it. If you make sure that the right leg isn't in exactly the same position as the left, and it doesn't flop around in the same way, then it can help a lot. So this will be our wings down pose, and this is just after he's taking a huge flap, and so we've got, so far, very simply like this, and it just loops, as I said. Now the next stage is to make it look a bit more natural, and so one way to do that is to make sure that it looks both different when it's going up and when it's going down, because right now it's completely, there's no difference between going up and going down. So if you actually look at how real birds fly, And it's a good analogy with music as well, if it's everything's synced up. In fact, I think some audio programs have like basically a humanizer button where it just makes little mistakes, you know, in drum beats especially. I think it's noticeable. So when birds fly, because they're not just hovering in the air, they're not just moving their wings up and down, they're actually pushing themselves forward through the air, and it's almost like swimming. Swimming through the air. Air is a fluid after all, and one way to do that basically every bird does is to slightly angle the wings forward like this. So it's subtle, but they do that. And also what I've done, you'll notice, is I've lifted the wing up like that. So you can almost feel the force of the air as it's pushing down. This part, closer to the muscle, is pushing down harder than this, which is further out from the muscle. It's a bit more flexible. If it was like this, it'd look kind of strange if he was actually flapping down. But flapping down like this, you can feel that the air is sort of skimming off the tip of his wing there. You can feel the force of it. Let's just make the same adjustments to the other side. So this is our wings down, and you can see how there's almost like a delay here between his shoulder going down, his shoulder muscle, and the actual rest of the wing following. And this is a principle called follow through that you see a lot in animation. This idea that something will follow on from something else. It's like the tail, for example. The tail doesn't just swish up and down like this. It more sort of it more curves like this, and that's because the end point is sort of it hasn't received the motion from the start point yet. They don't just move as one block. So here's our wings, and let's then do a separate up pose. So that's not a bad start, but we can do better. We've already done the opposite here. So instead of the wing curving up, it's going to curve down this time because he's picking up his wings against the air. And also, he's going to do the opposite of what we did. He's actually going to angle his wings slightly backwards, like this. And that's going to give it like a really nice flowy sort of you could see that he's not just going straight up and down, but he's sort of swimming, gliding through the air. I think the best way to demonstrate this is just to show you. So you can see that he's not just flapping straight up and down, he's pushing down on the air and he's pulling up against it. And also forwards and backwards, he's pushing, and then he tilts his wings like that in order to get the opposite effect, pushing away against the air. And this is what gives you your forward momentum as a creature with wings. Now at the minute it still looks kind of weird, but it's already better. First thing I notice is that it's quite a strong movement, and I'm already disobeying the idea of follow through here because the end of the wing moves almost more than the actual inner part of the wing. So I think that's just a factor of the rotation a bit. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to rotate them this way a bit so that the end tip of the wing, I'm just bringing it a bit more in, and then that's going to move out. And actually I'm going to rotate it here as well. Yeah. So that his down pose is more neutral. And then I'm going to change it here as well. Perhaps you can't see what I'm doing, but you may at least be able to see the difference. I think the up pose is too strong. Let's so yeah, okay. So hopefully now, okay, yeah, it's a little bit better. We're getting there. You want his wings still to flap in line, really, is what I'm trying to do here, so that it doesn't look robotic. Okay. Well, I hope that gives you an idea of what I was trying to do. He picks up his wings. It's still going more or less straight up and down from the side. There's a bit of wobble in it, but yeah, he picks them up, flaps them down. It's already looking smoother. What we can do to add a bit more force, a feeling of force to it, is to change the timing. So right now he moves them up and down and up and down and up and down, but there's no anticipation of a really big push. And the easiest way to do that is just to slow the beginning down. They call it ease in and ease out. So now I think, well, no, that looks funky. What I want to do is more like this. I think the idea is it should pause. There should be a pause basically after he's flapped up, and then whoa, a big push down. So what I can actually do is move all of my frames along in the timeline, and then I hope you can see that it has more of a pause. If I exaggerate it, you'll definitely be able to see it like that. That's what I'm doing, but exaggerated. Obviously, that's maybe a bit extreme. I kind of like it though. It's possibly a bit much. I'll move this along as well. So, and the same when it reaches the down pose. I want him to take time to pick his wings up. I'm going to add another keyframe here, and I'm going to let the wings really flap under him, so you can feel just the amount of momentum that he had in them. And I'm going to start rotating them a bit. And now what's happening here is he's flapping down and he's pausing, and the wing, but the wing tips continue traveling. That's follow through again. So that makes it look like they're less connected. Let's see this in motion. It's a bit, hang on, I need to move this now. So I hope you could see the difference. There's a bit more anticipation now. You could really see him putting force into that flap. There you go. They still rotate really weirdly, so I'm just going to quickly fix that. I hope you don't mind. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, they like rotate way too much here. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Yeah, I think, well, he's a big dragon, isn't he? You know what, I'm just going to slow the whole animation down, actually. Let's take it out to, you know, let's make it really slow. And is that a bit much? Because he's huge. He's massive compared to the little one. So, I don't know. No, it's probably too slow. Let's pick it to here. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? Because obviously the slower you make something, the bigger it looks. Speed really shows size. This poor dragon's really huffing and puffing to keep up with him, isn't it? You can tell he's sort of he's heavy and, you know, chunky, and his wings are like, you know, struggling to keep up with his mass. But then this boy here, he's more majestic. He's bigger. We've also got the let's have a look at the wyvern. No, we don't have the wyvern. So this is the wyvern here. He's a bit flat at the minute. I apologise for this. Let's inflate him back up. All right. Let's move him. You can see all three. So this one's also, he's got a much larger wingspan than the brown one. So I made this one, you know, a slower flap as well. I don't know, do these all look proportional to you? Or should the golden dragon flap a bit faster? Yeah. This, I think the golden dragon, if it flew too close over you, it'd probably just knock you off your feet. Yeah. Okay, we'll do this for now. I might make him a bit faster. Get rid of these fellas, they're distracting me now. So just let's do 200. 220. Okay, this feels good. It feels weighty, but it's still got some energy in it. Maybe I can even exaggerate this a bit. Sorry, I always make sound effects when I'm animating. It really helps. Sound helps enormously in imagining something. So let's just make sure that everything else is synced to the same amount of time. And now let's make him sort of bob up and down. These wings are carrying some force, so let's make his body react to it. So this is again the principle of doing things in stages. You do the main driving force first, and then everything that reacts to it after that. So I'm going to do the body next, and then after that I'm going to do the neck and the head, because they'll follow the motion of the body. So, you know, if I start animating the head now and then I animate the body after, when you watch the two together, it'll look really weird. It'll look out of sync. It'll look like the head's just doing its own thing, which is not how animals work. Right. So very simply, we can just make him move up and down. Let's think about this logically though. Right here, he's not flapping down. He's not flapping down. He's flapping down, and he starts flapping down here. So I'm going to move him down because I think up until this point, I don't have keyframing. I'm sorry. I think up until this point, he's not putting any force on, so gravity will be taking him. Now he starts putting force on, and only then, I think, will it start to pick up. So right here, he's going to start accelerating back upwards. So far we've got this. Probably a bit too fast. And then he's going to actually continue moving upwards because he's got a lot of mass in his body, a lot of momentum. Even though he's stopped flapping now, the sheer force of the wing flap is going to continue moving him upwards. He's going to go like this. Let's get rid of some of these frames because I think they're just making everything confusing. So he's going to flap here, and he's going to start accelerating upwards, but only start accelerating once he's actually flapping. Actually, I'm going to move all of this down. So he's falling, the force of the wings starts acting on him. Let's exaggerate this so you can see it. He starts moving upwards, and then actually the momentum, even though he's not flapping down anymore, the momentum of that flap keeps him going for a while. Then, let's make it even longer. Then, as he starts flapping back up, gravity will start to take him again. So let's see this. Oof. Oof. Yeah, sorry, I'm making sound effects again. No, you can see it adds a lot though. And I think we can, yeah, I think what's a little bit weird about this is that he starts slowing down. And this is of course because Blender, like most animation software, it has, it automatically smooths out movements for you. So I could demonstrate this if we go back to the graph for his body here. So, oh, that's bizarre. It's not supposed to be like that. Ah, that's it. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. So, this is the curve that he's following, and you could see he's, I don't know how clear it is here, he's falling, but actually gravity constantly accelerates you. So, it should look more like this. So gravity is actually constantly working to accelerate you. So this graph should start off easy and then go down faster and faster. So it should look like this. Ooh, he's really falling off. Yeah. So let's go back to viewport. Now I'll need to copy this animation as well to this one. Well, I've managed to really royally mess it up. No, that's good. I'll move this down a bit so it's got a bit of acceleration on it as well. Yeah, basically I'm just going to grab that, copy and paste it here. So it's a bit exaggerated and it looks a bit unrealistic because of that. But you can see what I was saying. As he's falling, gravity is actually accelerating him, and it doesn't sort of softly slow down until he's already putting force into his wings. Then he starts to slow down, then he comes to a stop, then he starts going back up, and then the momentum carries him a bit further. And then he comes to a stop and he starts falling. So that's pretty great. You can make further adjustments to this. It's all about just guessing and feeling. He seems to come to quite an abrupt stop here. I think I know why this needs moving down a bit. Yeah, he just comes to a stop. Again, it's helpful to look at the graph because you can see here why it looks like he's coming to a stop, because he is. This line here, it's just plateaus. He goes up and then straight, and then he starts falling. So what we can do is move these down a bit, and I'll probably add as well a keyframe here. Oops. And then just move him up a little bit more, and then if we go back to the graph editor, it's a bit extreme, but you can see it rounds off that. He never stops at any point. It rounds it off. I'm actually going to move this keyframe back a bit here, and let's see what this looks like. Now obviously this isn't totally realistic, so we can get away with, I don't have to calculate how fast gravity would actually move him down. You know? It's how it feels. Are dragons animals? Well, I suppose. They're not humans, are they? But are they beasts, monsters, evil creatures? Are they, they're magical, so I guess that means they wouldn't be animals. So it's a philosophical question, I think. I'm just a lowly animator. So I think that looks alright. What do you guys think? We could stick with that for now. Now, his body is moving up and down, but it's stiff. His back is just locked. Absolutely. It must be quite painful, actually. So, let's give him a bit of flex. And again, if we think about this logically, where his wings are attached to is right about the middle, which happens to be the pivot point in his back here. Now I'm going to have to do some correction to the wings, but I think what we can do is just the force of him being pulled up is going to act on his back and actually arch it a bit, because his back is being pulled up in the middle. And so the rest is going to follow up from that. Whoa, do you see that? His back is being pulled up in the middle by the wings, and then it's going to sort of relax gradually over the rest of the thing. Oh, made a mistake there. And so it's going to go like that, and then it's going to start straightening out as he decelerates. Hang on a minute. There's a problem here. There we go. Start straightening out a little bit as he slows down, because it's all based on speed. So that's, well, actually, sorry, it's not based on speed. This is important. It's based on acceleration, which is how quickly his speed is changing. So he could be stopped. But if just a moment ago he was traveling down quite fast, it's this change in speed, not the speed he's going. So right now he's basically stopped his body. He's not moving up and down. His body comes to a stop, but that's actually quite a big change in speed. And that's what acceleration is. And it's the acceleration that changes how things move. So right now he's moving faster than he was at this point, but he's decelerating, and so his back is actually going to start straightening out. And in fact, when he's falling, I want it to actually get even straighter. Like the more extreme parts of his body, the parts that are sticking out more, are actually almost like they're a second behind. There's lag, if you will. Not in the game, however. The game will be lag-free, I assure you. There we go. So, and in fact, here he's falling down, and his back's gonna come almost completely straight. I think I still want a bit of a curve in it, and then let's see how that looks. Looks kind of funky because there's an extra frame in here somewhere. What's happening? Oh, I see. I didn't copy this frame. There we go. I think it actually straightens out too quickly. It looks like he's doing it himself rather than just gravity doing it. And the problem is here, I think. Again, you can look at the graph editor to see how smooth the graphs look. That can be useful. And again, he's stopped here, but that's actually where his acceleration, and that's gravity accelerating him now, not his wings, is the greatest. So it's going to have the fastest change in his body posture. I still think it's too fast though. I'm going to just knock it back a bit. And again, remember to copy this end frame to the beginning so that it matches up perfectly. He's going to get even straighter and then boom. So you can see what I'm trying to do. Now it's not perfectly smooth. Again, we go back to the graph editor. And this time we're not looking at the up and down motion. We're looking at the rotation. That is here, and ooh, you can see there's like a kink in this graph here. So that's the problem. I also want to move it a bit more smoothly here. It sort of stops. It's like it hits a limit, like there's something that stops it from going, and then it just flattens out. So go back to the graph editor. Let's just move this down a bit, and yeah, get a nice smooth looking graph. So this is a bit smoother than it was before. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so it's not perfect, but I think that demonstrates quite well that you add it up layer by layer. Is everybody following so far? And I'm afraid it's not jet lag, it'll be dragon lag, won't it? Yeah. Wing lag, that's it. That's its mode of propulsion. So. Now if I'd been clever, I would have parented the wings to the rather than the body. No, I think that is the best way of doing it. So the wings here, now that I've rotated the body, if you look, the wings are directly attached to this part of the body here. So I'm just going to have to make some compensation for the fact now that the body is rotating up and down. So you can see that the wings are sort of pushed forward here. Oh, it's subtle, but hey, it's going to annoy me if I let it. So I've just got to rotate them backwards a little bit, and here, and here. Whoa, there we go. He's a big dragon. Alright, as requested. Alright, okay. Let's see now. Well, I promised I'd do the head next. Let's do the head next. Ooh, it's a bit close. Alright, so what's going to happen here is, let's do the tail. I think the tail will be easier to demonstrate because the head is going to want to move a bit on its own. The head is quite important. There's a lot of muscles in it, and most animals or magical beasts, as they are, tend to keep their head more or less quite steady when they're moving. In fact, birds especially have a remarkable ability to do this. I don't know if anyone has seen like a YouTube video. Sorry, maybe this is just an animated thing that I'm looking up at weird YouTube videos of chickens, but if somebody holds a chicken or an owl or many other birds by the body, and so that their head is free, if you move, twist, and do whatever you want with the body, the head will actually stay like almost perfectly still. It's quite fascinating to watch. It's like built in. It's like an instinctual reaction. It's not even the bird doing it on purpose. It is actually built into the mechanics of the bird, as it were. And yeah, there's a lot of like camera, in real life camera stabilization rigs and stuff that actually follow the same kind of principles in order to filter out movement and just keep the camera perfectly still in the middle. So let's take a look at the tail. At the minute the tail's a bit twisted. I'm actually just going to reset it all back to default and start again. So there let's do one at a time. So I want the tail to be fairly straight. If we think his movement here, well, he's accelerating now, isn't he? By coming to a stop, he's accelerating. So his tail is actually more or less going to start curving upwards, because the tail is quite thick. There's a lot of weight in it, and it's gonna curve upwards like so, because the end part has a lot of momentum in it. So it's gonna curve upwards, and actually I think as he comes down here, it's going to curve upwards even more strongly. Perhaps I started too strong. Let's see. This may look tedious, and funnily enough, that's because it is. Now the tail bit closer to the back here, the body is thicker, and so I'm going to assume there's less flexibility in it, whereas the end of the tail I think is going to be quite bendy. There we go. I don't know why that key didn't want to press. So you can see here that it's sort of, again, it's got that upward momentum from the, I think this pose is too extreme. And certainly here I think we can lower this, so you can see here that it's really curving up. I think I'm just going to adjust the shape, make it a bit more of like a spiral like this. So you can see here that the end of the tail still has momentum in it from the upward thrust. So even though his body's already coming back down, his tail didn't get the memo until you know, more or less, I think here is going to be a good place. In fact, I might even move this frame down. Now his acceleration is changing, his body is moving, and it's quite a big movement, and he's putting his whole back into it. He's really thrusting his wings. So yeah, pigeons, I think, many birds, basically they need to, because if you imagine being a bird, you're doing all of this bloody movement. Imagine if your head moved along with it, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So yeah, and I think he's going to move his tail here. Just the muscles moving his tail at this point. So he's gonna. Oops, sorry. He's gonna start curving his tail down, but again, there's going to be lag. So I might have done this the wrong way around, but we're about to see. We're about to find out, ladles and jelly spoons. So the tail actually curves even more because now he's thrusting it down. You can see it's quite extreme, and this almost starts curving over. If we look, that movement there, because the beginning of his tail is now moving down. The rest of his tail, I think, it can make it even more extreme. Oops. So like that, and then that's then it's going to do the opposite. So his tail's going to, I think, carry on moving a bit, but then the rest is going to start to catch up with the earlier movement. So just a bit at a time, not all of it. And I seem to have rotated these weirdly. Okay. Yeah, sorry, just fixing a little mistake here. Nothing drastic. So it's going to start catching up. Now this is still, the very end of it is still, as far as it's concerned, moving down. So it's going to get even more extreme, like that. It looks a bit stiff at the moment, but I'll sort that out, I think. I think you get the idea. And then it's going to start straightening out I actually want this, you know. I actually want this to still be like this. And the rest of his tail is basically stopped at this point. But the end is now finally getting the message. And that's really funky, so I need to fix that. Let's see, what did I have here? Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna copy this to the end and see what it looks like. Ooh, no, it's way too much movement here. I think I moved the beginning of the tail too quickly. I think I need to start unmoving it here, if that makes sense. And then that's already going to be like that, I think. And we need to copy that frame to here. Hope that it makes sense. So, alright. It's only curving in one direction, but I hope you can see what I mean by the follow through here. How big is the dragon? Smaug. Yes. So I'm reading your explanation here. So it's a choice between size and firepower. That's quite fun. All right, so that's fine, but it needs to have more of a reaction here. So it needs to actually curve down. I think we could do that for the last frame. Yeah. Oh dear, what's happened here? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so this is animation. It's just playing around, basically. It's. Is there a problem with my rig? Excuse me. Is there a problem with my rig? Everything seems to be in order. All right. Never mind. Right, and then that needs to basically carry on. That's what looks weird. Like that. Okay, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks way better. So, there we go. The timing's a bit weird. It sort of freezes up here, I think. This could be a shorter period. And this. I don't know. Messing around with the timing now. The keyframes are all right. It just suddenly starts moving. It's not natural. Tell you what. Sorry, I'm going a bit quiet here. It's absolute concentration. I'll get the curve of this tail just perfect. Looks a bit out of time now, doesn't it? So it should really, let's see, it should already be sort of feeling the effects there, I think. Even earlier. Yeah, so it's... probably a bit much. That's probably why it looks weird. What I can do very easily is go into the graph editor. This is the sort of thing the graph editors use for. It looks like a mess, and that's because it is. But what we can do is just get all of the ones for X rotation, which are these red ones. X is red. Hide everything else, and then just scale it. Oh, let's select everything, scale it, make sure we set the markers. Then, hopefully I haven't made it look too funky. Don't know, did that actually help? Yes, well, you could see the point. I'll have to think about that a bit more and adjust it later. Let's take a quick look at the head, as long as nobody has any questions or anything like that. Now for the head position, for the other dragons I had them quite like so, where like basically the head is in line. Many birds fly like this. Actually that looks pretty good, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think. It's quite aerodynamic. Yeah, let's do something like that. So where did I make that key for it? So yeah, so that's fine for like walking. He can be quite upright, and you can see if you know, his head's quite upright when he's walking. But so are many birds. I think what we can do here is have him sort of tip his neck forward. I think that makes a lot of sense. Playing around, seeing what looks best in the voxels, what doesn't distort the model too much. You know, we've got fairly, I think, good range of the things here. Yeah, you can see the spines along his neck aren't too, you know, weird in position or anything like that. I think it looks pretty good. Maybe, I don't know, blur this a bit or raise this. Yeah, there's lots of tweaking, and you know, after you've done like a rough animation, you then need to go in and fix loads of little, you know, things that don't look quite right. And you know, is an animation ever truly done? And yes, to answer your question, the tail is probably curving too much. I mean, a lot of tails could do this, but I think this dragon here, I think his tail would be powerful, it would be thick, it would be full of muscle, and I think it wouldn't move that much. And I did actually try to tone down the amount it moved. I think I'll try again actually, because let's see now, let's let's just manually hide everything I don't need, and then I know for sure that I've selected all the right curves. Yeah, this is the scary technical bit of animation, this graph editor, and it's a tool that you must learn to live with, unfortunately. So I can make it way less, and in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the more extreme ones and make them a lot tighter. So that's the sort of thing you can do very quickly in the graph editor, is just change the amount that the tail is curving. So that's already a lot better. I think this frame here, it's like got a kink in it almost. I think we can reduce that, and then yeah. So it's a game of and it moves very stiffly. I think you can see if you focus on this one here, focus on this one. It just moves down and then it just stops. There's absolutely no sort of follow through or anything like that. In fact, I'm gonna just add another keyframe here. I think that's what it needs, just to make it a bit smoother. And I think this can bend a bit more. Yeah, you got me back on the tail. You see, this is the perfectionist. This is yeah, it's still not quite flowy. Does not flow, Captain. So that looks a bit better. Thank you for your suggestion of making it bend less. I think the movement here is too drastic. I mean, it's so subtle, but every subtlety adds a huge amount. I think it takes a while to get a good looking curve going. I think. Yeah, I'll need to add a few extra keyframes to just give it that smoothness, because it's a bit jittery at the minute. But yeah, that's already looking a bit better. Going back to the head, let's just make sure we copy our new sort of bent over position. And then what's the head going to do? So the head is going to try and counter the movement of the body. He's going to want to try and keep his head pretty still. So what I'm going to do is find like a more or less central part for his head. And then if I just move the 3D cursor there, which is this handy like red and white thing here, then I can trace where the position of the head was and try and keep it there. So actually I might move it down a bit. Yeah, and then I'm going to try basically and keep his head roughly on that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but in fact, if it's not perfect, it looks a bit better. Do I feel any pressure doing this live? Enormously. No, I'm joking. It's quite fun actually. The tiring part is coming up with things to say without anybody talking back to you. That's what I found doing streams. Is obviously we have the chat. I can answer some questions from there, but it's not like a real conversation where you can let somebody take over. You can let somebody say something. Especially if you want it to be funny, you can react to what they said in a funny way, which is something that I can't do right now because I'm not reacting to anybody, you know. And also I can't tell how well, you know, I don't get a smile for a joke or anything like that, so I just have to kind of guess, you know, is what I'm saying entertaining or not? Are you falling asleep? I can't tell. Hopefully you're not. But I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't feel any hatred toward you if you did. So yeah. Okay, anyway, back to it. Let's I tell you what, I just lock everything. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to And if you move each bit a bit, then it looks more like a natural curve. I think you can move the head the most, more than the neck. And then sort of counter that. So it's going to start like that, and then here it's the most extreme. There's quite a lot of movement, isn't it? Oh, I see. I need to. What I did was, yeah, again, that makes sense. So now I'm going to do like a more upward position. And yes, I'm fully aware that I've like broken his neck in a horrible mangled way. But I think for the voxel models, once you see it all in motion, I think it looks quite good. So this is what we've got. You know, you can see here that he's not doing it perfectly, but he's more or less keeping his head still. Now obviously I'm going to want to add some extra keyframes to this and give it a bit more character. And I think he can also probably his head can, like, you know, wobble a little bit from the force of the acceleration. So we'll just do that, and then I think yeah, well, let's see where that goes. The Lord of the Rings wiki is very distracting because this is very, very big. That's yeah. Lord of the Rings is just fantastic. We're all good fans of Lord of the Rings here at Gönndyr Games. I think I can speak for my compatriots. They won't mind. It's an amazing universe, and to be honest, I mean, I've seen some of what we have planned for this game, and I'm very, very excited. Very, very excited. When we say it's a story-focused tower defense game, we mean it. I think. I just can't wait until we release the demo and everybody gets that first taste. So back to work. Right. So I think it's sort of he lifts his head up too much here, so we can add another frame here and just make sure that you know, it's almost this that moves too much, really. It's just, you know, and I think that needs just a bit more continuation. So I think I like this bit here where as he starts flapping, like there's like a big movement. In fact, I might just exaggerate that. So you could see he's sort of, it's a bit janky. I think this here needs to move. So, you know, he's trying to keep his head still, but like he's still sort of reacting to the wing beats. I think it's almost got like a double bounce to it, which I don't really like. I think what's happened is it goes here, so I'm just going to add because the body moves, and of course the neck is attached to the body and the body is attached to so I need to basically counter rotate this, which isn't a big deal. So I just go like that, and then you can see it's a lot smoother now. It doesn't have that. If I delete it, you can see the difference. So I think now it's missing that kind of doof. So what we can do is and what we can do as well to sell the effect is sort of tilt his head a bit, because it can, I think, make a big difference. I'm gonna just fix this end frame here. And now I hope you can see the effect I was trying to go for, where like you could see his head reacting to the thing. I think it still sort of curves too much. Yeah. Oh Lord, he coming. Alright, so we'll call the head done for now. Of course we can, as I said, the refinements will be endless if you let them. Oh no, we've got adverts. Everybody ignore the advertiser. Ignore him. It's his worst nightmare. Alright, okay, cool. What we got next? Do you have time to do the feet? Do you want to watch me do feet? Oh no, don't take that out of the context. I'm sorry. But I didn't know what to do with the feet, did I? It's, oh dear. I don't know. I think that looks alright, but I might just like it because I've been staring at it for the last hour. You know, there's this. If I like close it and come back to it tomorrow, I'll be like, what was I thinking? So, look, this is the default. This is. Let's go back to frame one. This is the default. It's it's quite straight. I think it would bend this way. I think that makes a lot more sense. If you look at four-legged animals, the front legs actually bend the wrong way. Like dogs and stuff like that. Not that he's a dog, but I know he might have the same common ancestor if you trace his lineage back far enough. Imagine if a dog could breathe fire. That would change social dynamics. Yeah, so I couldn't have it like that, really. I think I would need it like that. I'll move this forward. He can move his shoulder as much as he wants. You can have it over here if he likes. Maybe he's tucked it up and in. And this part is a bit more loose, a bit more dangly, and his foot there. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, okay, we'll try that. I reserve the right to change my mind later. Perhaps I should say all previews of materials may not be final in the game, because I will get annoyed with them at some point. Now it's the same with the back leg. The back leg bends like that. That's your classic dog leg. If we're going with the dog thing, it bends like that. So I think tuck that up and in as well. When he's in flight mode, please switch your device to flight mode. And I don't know. I defer to my lovely audience. What do you guys think? Is that better than that? I don't know. Actually, I kind of preferred it a bit straighter. So, I don't know. He's got such long legs. It's hard to know what to do with them. Oops. Yeah, that's what it looked like before. I think that's an improvement. But I don't know. It looks more sleek. It looks more aerodynamic. All right, we'll go with this. And yeah, we'll see. So now the legs are going to be sort of the floppiest part, if you will. Not too floppy, obviously. He's got some force in them, but I think while he's flying, he's concentrating on his wings. So yeah. Well, let's first of all, let's make sure that the end frame is the same as the beginning frame, and go from there. So we're going to use exactly the same principles we did on the tail and the head. When he's coming down, the legs are going to be accelerating up. So I think he's going to straighten out a bit. It's going to move even physically upwards, because the shoulders in most animals have a lot of movement in them. The shoulders are often sort of neglected in terms of just how much they move. And then I think that the foot is actually going to move the opposite. No, this is what we'll do. The middle part of the arm will actually be one down the chain from that. So when the shoulder stops moving, and I think, let's say that when it's here, when he's really putting that thrust in, it's going to suddenly move down, and it's going to go. So he's almost like putting his whole body into that swing, and then his arm will actually straighten out then, and his foot will react that way. And the reason I'm doing that is because, as I said, it's like there's a lag. So there's lag not only between his arm and his body and his wing, but also in the arm itself. If you imagine, don't tense your arm, and if you wave your arm around, which I'm embarrassingly doing now just to myself, there's, it's almost like waving. You move your shoulder up and down, but your elbow doesn't also tense at the same time. And then after a while, and what we can do actually is, if we make his wings separate from his body, then I can just hide them, and then we can see this this sort of flying sausage. Oh no! Run away! Yeah. So, but then his arm will sort of finish its thing. So it moved down, and then it moves a little bit more, but just literally just to finish the movement. Like it's sort of come to a rest. Just a bit more. And then the arm will be able to do that, and the foot will react. So it's almost like that. So there's the downward movement, and then the arm actually has to catch up. There we go, we've delayed it. So we can actually probably, and that. So I mean that already, that already adds a lot. If we bring his wings back, let's see. I mean, the wings are kind of covering it up, but even if your eyes don't notice it, your brain will. But that's actually true. I mean, you don't have to actually see a movement on screen in its entirety to understand that it's happened. If you watch animations a lot, like I do, you'll notice when, or even just real life footage, you'll notice that if there could be a very simple camera shot just focused on somebody's upper shoulders and head, but you can almost tell what they're doing with their hands, even though you can't see them. Excuse me. By subtle movements in their shoulders and things like that. The human brain is extremely sensitive to motion. We've had millions of years of evolution to get to this point, and I think this is a bit too extreme, and I actually think that it shouldn't. It should be a bit smoother like that. So this is our weird sort of sausage lizard here, if we're allowed to have such a thing. I think the foot movement looks backwards. It looks like he's sort of tensing, and he could be, but I think that looks good. There you go. That's kind of loose, and you really don't need to have a lot of keyframes to make it look smooth. I think that looks pretty nice. As I said, I reserve the right to change it later. What I'm going to do is just copy everything to the other side. Oops. There we go. But here we have perfect synchronization. We have. Hang on. Excuse me. What is this? I'm sorry. What's that? No. there's something missing here, and it moves. Look. Okay. Hang on a minute. Oh boy, it really does move. What am I looking at? What? Where did that come from? Is that missing from somewhere? It's white. It's probably... Oh my days. I'm just gonna delete it. I think that's just an honest to God mistake. So what I was trying to say is the legs look super weird, moving perfectly in sync like that. Something very simple we can do is just offset the animation, and actually just move some of these keyframes around. If we make a new keyframe here and a new keyframe here. Oh, and thank you for the follow. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not paying close attention. Already that looks better. I think it's a bit too much, if I'm honest. I'm just going to undo that. I think because it's still very much reacting to his body motion, which is important. So already that looks miles better, and I've done like 2 seconds of work. But what we can do just to improve it even more is actually just have like it in a different pose altogether. So maybe this is like slightly more like that. We can just do that for all the frames. Just make it lower. Just his left shoulder is lower. It's an old war injury he's had many years ago. And then his arm just slightly more bent. That's all we need to do. Just each frame, we'll just make the difference more extreme. There we go. And then slightly more bent here as well. And then his foot. Yeah, I mean, look, already that's just a huge difference that's made to having them both, at the same time. And just in case you're tired of looking at this yellow sausage, that's a lot of mustard on that sausage, isn't it? I'm sorry, I know I'm speaking to Germans here, but you can have too much mustard on your sausage. Right, and then I think you get the idea. Would you guys like to see streams more often? Well, I guess I shouldn't answer that question, should I? But I wouldn't mind doing this more often if you guys are into it. I think this could be cool. I mean, I've got a lot more animations to make for this fella here. So I think, we could look at a walk cycle, do various things. Anyway, just ignoring the back legs for a moment, and the tail, and the head's not finished, and I'm not 100% happy with the wings. But ignoring everything, hang on, there we go. So if you ignore everything, so you can see it's that's a start. That's a start. I'd want to add some more refinement to it. It's and then we might get something like this. The brown dragon. You can see it's obviously a very different style of flying, but it's got all the same principles in it that I put in the dragon's flight. And yeah, but you can see that it's got a bit more pop to it, and that's not just because it's less majestic than the golden dragon, but also that's extra frames I've put in. Just if you watch the head, for example, it does a little bit of a duck, and also it's asymmetrical from the front. Let me just show you what I mean on the golden dragon. If I just bring back all like the main body controls, what I can do here is just actually let's say he just beats down with his right wing more, then he's gonna like rotate a little bit. Oops. Like this is the exaggeration, but let's wait until he's actually flapping. So it's just like that, just a little bit, like that, and then he recovers. So it's so subtle, But you do notice these things, I promise you. It seems to have made it out of whack here. Oh, the tail. The tail's... Well, that's fine. I mean, you can see here on the brown dragon, the tail doesn't just move up and down. It moves slightly left to right. And what this does to the end is it makes it more of a circular motion. If we see, try and watch the end. Here, I'll highlight it for you. So if we see the end here, it moves in more or less a circular pattern, and that's also a good thing to have. Is very few things move straight up and down. Everything moves in some sort of circle or oval or ellipse, and that's an important thing to remember. Yeah, that's another way to make animations look much more natural. But I think with not too much time, I'd like to hope that I have imparted quite a bit of information. It's a big dragon. And let's bring the wyvern back as well. If you follow our Instagram page, you'll have seen these in development as we've been modeling them and animating them and things like that. We post there very regularly, so if you want to see more of the finished animations and even the animations in progress, we post on there as well. It's at Gönndyr Games, GOENNDYR, Gönndyr Games, and you'll also find a link on the Instagram bio to our Discord as well. We've got quite a nice little community going on. We don't just share stuff about the game, but we share stuff with each other about projects we're working on. And we've got a little Minecraft server even. We've made several cool villages for you to explore and to add to. So yeah. How would you guys think if I ended it there? Is that satisfying to you, or is there anything else you'd like to see? One other thing I could show you is my technique for making like a low poly version of the dragon. So a simplified version of the dragon that will work much more quickly, but is only meant to be seen from far away. A lot of games do this. They make like simple models for being seen far away. It is sort of technical and boring though, and perhaps we could save it for another stream. What do you guys think? Here's our family of dragons. Tell you what, we can't leave out the whole family, can we? Let's have even the ones that can't fly can join the party. Look at him go. So if we have a look at this will give you a sort of a taster for the walk cycles. If you want to watch me do a walk cycle on the golden dragon, this one I like. This one, it's got a lot of weight to it. He's really sort of hefty, and you can see his head wobbling because of each step he takes. And so that's going to be your teaser for the walk cycle. Yeah. All right. Well, let's tell you what. Let's fit in a bit of. Who wants to see some boring stuff? Yeah. Come on. Let's do some boring stuff. No, it's different. It's not animation. So I've actually already started, so it won't take long because I've already basically done everything. What I'm doing at the minute is this. So this is the blocky dragon. Look at him. He's so square and blocky and horrible, and I'm sure looking at it up close, the poor modelling team are absolutely cringing just looking at it. But from a distance, hey, you could tell. So the important thing here is optimization. It's all about reducing the number of polygons, and there's several things I've done. So for example, on this dragon you could see, like for example, the wings have like this sort of you could see the arm in the wing, if you will. I don't know if that's clear. And on the low poly one, I just flattened all that out and I made it into a texture. So instead of actually being physically there, apart from this one block, which I might get rid of because it looks kind of funky just sticking out on its own, or I might, yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it for now. So I've gone in and I've manually, you could see on the horns here, I have, you know, they're more smooth here, if you can consider voxels smooth, and here they're bigger chunks and things like that. Now, at the minute, there's a lot of sort of black spots here left over from Blender not actually knowing what to color bits where I filled them in. So, for example, if we look at the head in more detail, it's got like you know, different layers here if we isolate it, and then this one I've just flattened out the crest at the top. I hope that's clear. I'll try and switch between them. So yeah, like that makes it clear what I've done. I've filled in details and stuff. I have one more piece to do. I left specifically so that we could do it on stream. That's the foot. The foot has a lot of details in it, which when you're over here, you're just not going to see. So let's do that. I'm going to switch back to my other view here, and it kind of does look like it has eyebrows, as I said, because there are black pixels. I'm just going to manually fill in the color where Blender looked at me and went, "Hey mate, I don't know what color this is," because it didn't exist on the original model, which is fair enough. So I use a few techniques. For example, here, like this bit down here, it's just, you're not going to see that. So I just literally, what I'm going to do is delete all the sides, and then, oh dear, sorry, I had my controls set up for animation, and then I need to delete that. So this is all, you know, just old-fashioned modeling techniques, and then that's already saved some polygons. So this bit here, I can just stretch out like that and collapse the vertices. So now what it was before was like several triangles. You can see each one of these is a triangle. Now, oh, I need to redo it. There we go, and boom, it's gone. Like this bit, just get rid of it. We don't need it. Don't need it. So this is where I'm going in, and I'm perhaps in your mind overzealously just collapsing things, getting rid of all these lovely details which the art team just so painstakingly added to each and every dragon, putting their love and care. No, it's gone. It's not there anymore. Yeah, there you go. So let's just do that. It's very keyboard heavy, as you can tell. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, already that's making a big difference. Frankly, I think we could just delete this. I don't know, it's just like, it's just sticking out. I mean, I don't know, on the dragon. Are you going to see it? I don't think you are. Just delete it. There you go. Problem solved. This part, it's kind of, you know, I'm just going to drag that back to here. So there we go. I've made a difference. I think. Let's just extend these to here. So the more blocky it is, basically, I know voxels are already blocky, but we can save a lot by doing this. So if we look at the original one, for example, the original one is 182 triangles, and this new one is 78. So that's under half. Don't ask me to do maths on the air. So I'm just gonna mirror that. I'm gonna make this a separate object. I'm also gonna reapply the thing here so that it can just use the same animation as my other dragon. So it's got all of these things. If you saw me doing rigging yesterday, you'll recognize exactly the same as what I set up for the full detailed dragon. What am I looking for? Back for, move that, add that. So I've got all of those now. Only downside is there's no texture on it, and that is easily solved. What I can do here is just unwrap that. Don't worry, it won't be like last time. I don't need to do much. And then scale it down so it's the same size as the other pixel. Add that to our texture. I've got a separate texture just for the low detail versions. Okay, so that's ready to be textured now. I've got the high res one here, and I just need to make the texture. If you watch the bottom left here, I'll make it a bit bigger for you. You'll see the texture magically appear when I press this button. There we go. And the same for this one. And then there you go. So it looks pretty funky. What I'm going to have to do is, if I just put this here for reference, I could see what the difference is, and I could try and replicate the difference. So if I go into texture paint mode now, make sure I'm in the right object. So I've got my color palette, and I can make the decision that this part should be all one color. It shouldn't, there we go. So just color that in. This is the manual part that robots will never be able to replace. I can see that it's made a mistake here. Color that in. Color that. And I'm fine with everything else. Looks okay. I think this can just be that color. Yeah. So, and now that it's all colored in, tell me from a distance, can you tell the difference? It's pretty difficult. Another thing we can do on top of that, because we've lost a lot of shape information here, is I can bake, and now this is a super trade secret I'm about to show you guys, so you better be pleased with this. Ambient occlusion. So what that'll do, if I show you, is that will, and this is sort of, I'm just going to hide and unhide it, add sort of shadows and things on it. So it gives the idea, for example, you can see in the bottom right corner here, where I've taken out the actual shape that it had, which was, oh dear, which is like here. I've removed that detail, but I can sort of put it back by adding some shading to it. And from a distance, it kind of looks like there's actually a bit missing. So that's the principle of it. There you go. I hope that sort of gives an overview, and I'll obviously need to do all of that for all these. So on the head here, I need to color in where there's, the texture's missing, and although the eyebrows are somewhat amusing. So yeah. I don't think AI will ever take the musicians' jobs. I mean, it's a difficult question because AI are getting really good, and they're starting to come up with some stuff that humans could never have thought of on their own. But at the end of the day, like if you look at food, for example, the food industry, although yes, there's a lot of mass market McDonald's, ready meal, microwave meal. There's a huge market, and a lot of people who like buying local produced food, who like buying organic, home cooked, homegrown. That'll never go away. It doesn't matter how good, microwave meals get. People will always want to know that, human hands, humans have touched their food, and I think art will be the same. So, at least I'm crossing my fingers. An interesting topic, though. I think AI will help us, not hinder us. I mean, a lot of the technical stuff, like for example, this whole UV unwrapping business, where I've got to take all of these squares and put them down and things like that. I mean, AI are already doing that. I've actually got an add-on for Blender that uses AI to do it for me. I had to do it manually for this because this project is a bit more bespoke. Not many games have this voxel art style, but yeah, and with art, people will always want something new and different, and yeah, brilliant. So let's do the tail will be easy. For example, if I just show you this, I can just color in. It's missed this bit, but yeah, there we go, done. And the rest of it looks great. This one here, it's meant to have that brown bit on the top, and I'll show you why. Because that is actually on the original model. If we look, there's like this. It's 3D on this one, but it's I've made it just the brown color gives you the impression that it's there without it actually being there. And again, if we add that ambient occlusion, let's give that a go. So again, this is with and without. That gives the impression that there's like something there creating a shadow, even though there isn't. So yeah. Any other questions? There we go. So you have your confirmation. AI will never replace you. Oh, is it still? Oh yes, I need to make this 2 pieces. Yes, it's okay. Like I did for the other one. Oh, I did make it 2 pieces. Good. All right, I'm already ahead of myself. So I just make sure that that is tail 2A. tail to there. In theory, if I've done everything right, let's just give it a quick test. Everything should animate fine, so ignore the textures at the minute they're unfinished. Everything should work for parenting. Yeah, there we go. So this is the low detail dragon, and because I've set it up exactly the same as the full detail one, as it were. Ooh, that looks funky, doesn't it? There we go. You know, can you even tell if I'm quick? You know, which one is it now? You know, but you can see, you know, the details that go missing. You know, when I switch between them. But you know, from a distance, it's too far away. Yeah, that's the idea. But they both use the same animation and everything. Ah, yes, one thing I do need to do. Well, I'm glad you like it. I've had, as I've mentioned before, enormous fun working on all these models, and the buildings too. The buildings are ever so much fun. The models look amazing. It's a fantastic art style, and I'm pleased to be part of the team. I have to be honest. Call me biased if you will, but I'm having a good old time. We've also got little people running around and stuff. There's a lot of fun little details that really add to it. And actually, I hope I can show you animation of the people sometime as well. Because they're fun, it's less technical. You know, they've just they've got 2 arms that just move around as complete sticks. They've got 2 legs, they've got a body and a head. There's just five joints to move around. Some of them have, you know, kind of floppy hair, but apart from that, it's you know, it's all fun and games basically. Yeah. Oh, the cannon animation is fun as well. Yeah, the mortar. It's I like it as well. Yeah, or at least I suppose I shouldn't I, since I made it. It's yeah, there's a lot of little details you can come up with when you're animating. Like the mortar one, I make the whole building actually shakes when it fires, which makes a big difference. It adds a lot to it, and the little people react in time with it. Yeah, that one was a fun one to do. I hope this is nice and exciting. At least I got the music this time on like a rotating playlist, because I think it got a bit tiring for some people after a while. I hope the volume's okay and everything. I tried a thing where I set the music to sidechain, where it automatically lowers in volume when I'm speaking. Of course, I'm a veteran of streaming now. I mean, I've streamed for 4 hours now, so that's, you know, total. That's you know, could get my pilot's license from that. Yes, I am. Or at least so it would seem. No, I'm having fun doing this. I think that's the important bit, isn't it? So nearly done, actually. It goes quite quickly when you're just having fun. Of course, I think you get the idea by now. Well then, I'll keep working on the animation of the dragon flying, refine it, make it even gooder, and then we can do another stream perhaps next week. Sound good? Sometime. Does the weekend suit everybody well? Yes, and thank you for watching, everybody. It's good fun. Obviously, it's more fun knowing that I am talking to somebody. Somebody is paying attention. So it's been good having everybody. You're good students. All right. Well, I'll see you all around for the next one, I hope. But until then, it'll be goodbye from me. All right. Bye-bye.